that up well, Lamar.
That set the tone. It's
All right, let's go.
6:30. I see that we have a quorum in the room, so I'm going to call this meeting of the City Council, City of Hillsboro, to order. First item up on our agenda is the consent agenda. Under consent agenda, item 1 is vouchers totaling $210,441.56. Did everyone receive copies of the vouchers? Any questions regarding the vouchers? Item 2 is minutes from our December 6, 2023 meeting. Everyone received copies of the minutes. Were there any corrections or questions regarding the minutes? Item 3 is renewal applications for CMB cereal malt beverage. Did everyone receive the applications and the recommendation on the cereal malt beverage renewals? Any questions? Then we had a revised quote for the visitor center repair. Did everyone receive copies of the revised quote? Were there any questions regarding the revised quote? And finally, we have the CDBG vouchers totaling $33,750. That is, again, a pass-through. Did everyone receive copies of those vouchers? Were there any questions? Hearing none, I would accept a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted. Councilman By moves. Is there a second? Councilman McCarty seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We now come to our first public comment opportunity. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to address the council? I see nobody online other than the press, so we will close the public comment and move into our budget hearing for the 2023 budget amendment. And Mr. Stiles, I will let you take over.
Okay, so we've had a couple looks at this. Many changes here. These are mostly all of our utility funds and equipment reserve. Changing the sewer fund for this year to account for the sewer lining projects we did there. The water fund is a change in order to account for the pilot project with KDHE. Refuse was from the trash truck. Equipment reserve, we're just making a couple of changes on that. And then the sales tax, because we moved a few things around in there. So a couple looks at it. There's nothing new or nothing different from what we've had before. Just asking for approval of the budget amendment, keep it nice and tidy for the end of the year.
Any questions? Any comments from the public? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to adopt the 2023 budget amendment as submitted.
Oh my God, motion.
Councilman McCarty moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman By seconds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll poll the council. Councilman By,
Yes.
Councilman McCarty,
Yes.
Councilman Driggers.
Yes.
The 2023 budget amendment is hereby adopted. Thank you very much, Mr. Stiles and Danielle, for getting that all organized for us. Next, we're moving into our business items section. First item there is consideration of proposed statement of municipal policy, which you have in your packet, Mr. Stiles.
Yeah, so we put this together. We made it in kind of a one-sheeter. A few changes from the previous wording. We made a couple things to revise the statements to be more to describe what we're for, and then some of them were sort of what we were against, but we kind of reframed those. Added some bolding and some highlighting there just so that it kind of stands out. The whole section on rural housing assistance, we put that in there after our last meeting, so that's a new section. Really just says we're in support of finding affordable housing options and some of the state programs. And expansion of those programs to have more incentives. So the idea of this is that we get this produced and then be able to hand it out to our legislators or have citizens take it to legislators too. This is just sort of framing what we're for and how we view the legislative session.
So would this be something that we would take to the Capitol
Yep.
on the 24th?
Yep. When I did volunteer people to give testimony and comment if needed. Obviously, it just depends on who wants to make that or how that would go. So not specifically saying Brent has to go make testimony. I'm just saying that we'll offer
Brent
that.
has to go.
Brent has to go.
I think it's.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, any questions, comments? I think this
Yeah.
looks really good.
I do too. This is the same stuff that you sent us last meeting.
Yeah, we
Just
we
tweaked it a
reword a
little
little
bit,
bit, yeah. Like I say, we just sort of reframe some of them.
Yeah, like the mental health and the rural housing. I think that's very, very important. So.
Any other comments? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to adopt the statement of municipal policy as submitted. Councilman McCarty moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Trigger seconds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item up is Ford invoices totaling $408.64. Mr. Stiles.
Yes, sir. So this was a battery truck or battery for the bucket truck. Pretty straightforward transaction, $408.64.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none and accept a motion to approve payment of Ford invoices totaling $408.64. Councilman McCarty moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Trigger seconds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those abstaining,
Abstain.
all those opposed, motion carries. I will vote aye as well, just to
Thank
be,
you.
just to be safe.
There we go.
I side eye. I saw that. I saw that look. All right. Next up, we have an executive session pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, section 1. Would somebody care to make that motion?
Just before, we can do it in 10 minutes. We don't need 15.
Okay.
I can.
Second.
Okay, well,
Well,
Do we need-
go ahead.
Yeah,
Please read.
I move the city council recess into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters of non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 75-4319B1 for a period of 10 minutes. The meeting will include the city administrator and the city attorney. The open meeting will resume at
6:47.
47.
Okay, do I have a second? We have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We are in executive session.
If you like, if you don't want to, fine too.
Only Danielle has to come back.
Only, yeah, only need Danielle.
Only Danielle has to come back.
Everybody else. Free to be there.
Yeah, she needs to come back.
Okay, let the record show that we are now back in open session. There were no actions, no decisions made during the executive session. And we will continue on with our agenda. We are now in business item 4, which is consideration of cost of living wage adjustments. Mr. Stiles.
Thank you, sir. So in our normal budgeting process this year, we approved 6% total wages for wage increase potentially for employees. The idea we're going to split that between cost of living adjustment and then a merit adjustment or some sort of merit adjustment essentially. Last year we just did a flat $1 an hour increase, which is great for the lower wage workers who are in a different position. That kind of makes it a little uneven and unbalanced on kind of how you do it from here moving forward. So what we looked at this year was considering a 4% cost of living adjustment, considering how actual inflation has gone. It's averaged out about 3% this year, but we're still behind from the previous couple of years where it was 7% and 9% respectively. So as that's come up, I think we kind of landed on 4% being a pretty good adjustment there. It's a little bit more than what the actual consumer price index has risen, but again, we're a little behind. So we also have some positions that need to adjusting due to change in duties and some market factors. It's part of that. So that's all included in the budget. We just, there's things there we would do in lieu of a cost of living of 4%. So they would kind of live outside of that. So that's what we're looking at there, 4% cost of living, and then the 2%, the remaining 2%, we would look at doing as a merit increase in the summer. We moved everybody to an annual evaluation cycle that hits in the middle of the summer. So if someone was to pass their evaluation, they could be eligible for up to another 2% in the summer. So that's what we're recommending today is a 4% cost of living, and then making some market adjustments, authorizing me to make those or to be applied. This would apply on the January 11th payroll date. So,
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to approve the 4% cost of living increase with the 2% for available for merit increases in the summer, and the other adjustments, market and duty adjustments, as required by Mr. Stiles. Mr. McCarty makes that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman By seconds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We are now into item 5, consideration of the 2023 encumbrance cancellation. Mr.
thank you,
Stiles.
sir. So we keep a running list of encumbrance every year, and just kind of try to match that up. It's a new thing that we started doing last year. We evaluate those at the end of the year to see what the status is and whether or not we want to carry it over for the next year. Sometimes supply chain things have stretched projects out, and so we can cancel them and then reapprove them in the new year. We've got one in there, which was the HVAC unit for the raw water pump that we did in October. That's PO number 28846. It's $11,555. What we would propose doing there is to cancel that encumbrance so we don't carry it over the next year, and then we'll reapprove the project as part of the 24 budget, which it fits into that. Then we also had another PO that we need to do for the initial work that Johnson's did, the sewer lining project. They gave us a quote, or at least we approved a quote of $247,326 for the lining and $18,500 for cammering. We ended up doing a revised quote, so we're actually over on that one. It ended up being $16,155 less. And Danielle's requesting that we cancel that one in order to kind of clean the books up on that too. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, so in checking with the auditors, it is my understanding that if we have approved a cost up to X amount, then anything not spent up to that amount can be canceled so that that is no longer on our books for the current year. And in this case, we don't anticipate spending that amount. So
No.
to me, there's no reason to leave that on there. The additional work that Johnson is doing for the other amount is a separate purchase order.
Were those two
That's it.
we needed to adjust
Mhm.
or cancel? Any questions? Hearing none, then I would accept a motion to approve the cancellation of the two items discussed for the HVAC and the sewer lining. Pardon me.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Councilman By moves,
Second.
Councilman Triggers seconds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now we are to discussion of fire station meeting with legislative representation. Councilman By has a report.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. Last Wednesday, 11:30, we had, myself, Councilman McCarty, Chief Ben, and, Weston Giesbrecht, and, Captain Matt Hine, all in attendance to welcome Katie Sawyer with, Senator Marshall's staff and, Grace Green with Representative Laturner's staff. I also asked Representative Stephen Owens to join us. Prior to him running for public office, he was on the Heston Fire Department for 18 years. So it was a great representation, great group. We discussed our plans to build the new fire station out by the AMPI building. So we spent time in here. Chief Ben showed them the layout, the floor plans, everything for the new station. Then took us over, into the fire station, showed us, where all the firefighters will gear up before they go on a call and how close it is to the trucks, and showed them all of our equipment. And gotta say the Marshall and Laturner staff were blown away just by the fact that this is a volunteer fire department and that we have such a great group of guys and gals that want to fight fires and want to keep our citizens and community safe. So we showed them that, and then we took them out to the AMPI building, showed them the tanker truck, the new brush truck that we bought them. What was that? 2 years ago almost?
Yeah, we just got it this year, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Showed them that. Stephen Owens, he was just like a kid in a candy store checking out all of our gear. Katie Sawyer, I've known her for a while. She's the field director for Senator Marshall's team. She actually was on a committee with City of McPherson when they built their new station. So she was great help, and she asked a lot of questions with Chief Steckety. She also shared with me a few weeks ago when I first reached out. She sent me some different options for a FEMA firefighter grant and a link to USA Rural Development Community Facilities Grant, which I think I may have forwarded to you. If not, I can. But yeah, tour went well. They seem really excited about the station. The first question they asked us, what's the biggest obstacle? And obviously we all know it's money. Don't know how much the federal government, even the state government, can help right now. But they did offer their support, and they wanted to reiterate that they will do everything they can to help us. So that's briefly in a nutshell. I mean, do you have anything to add, Barney? You were there.
That's about it.
Okay.
I think you covered it pretty well.
Any other questions? Well, thank you for taking care of that,
Yes, sir.
Blake,
Absolutely.
and thanks for the good report.
Yeah.
We'll now move into a land bank meeting. And I will call the meeting of the Land Bank, City of Hillsboro to order. First item up is approval of minutes. Did everyone receive copies of the minutes? Are there any questions regarding or corrections regarding the minutes? Next, we have vouchers. So do we need to approve the can we approve the vouchers and the minutes together, or do we need separate approvals?
I think you can.
Sure, like my consent agenda.
Like,
Yeah,
like a
we'll just-
consent. We did it that
so-
way.
We have vouchers in the amount of $14,502.15, made up of welding school heaters in the amount of $1,491.70, and the first half taxes to the Marion County Treasurer of $13,010.45. Any questions regarding the vouchers? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to approve the minutes and the vouchers as submitted. Councilman McCarty moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman By seconds. Any further discussion?
I would make a note that on the taxes, we are actually actively, not protesting, but we're having a conversation about how those are applied, because there's some not-for-profit use and it's a city-owned facility. So some of that we're disputing, I guess, or having a conversation about. So
Would there have to,
yeah,
would there need to be a revision then?
no, we should pay them.
Right.
Let's keep them current, and then
Okay.
if we come to a conclusion, we'll get a refund.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We now have the consideration of an option agreement with Mennonite Housing. Mr. Stiles.
Thank you, sir. So what you have in front of you there is the first piece of it is really what we're considering, the option agreement. It provides lots 1 through 8 on Hillsboro Heights second edition. Actually, should probably bring that up so you can see it. And then the purchase price there would be $0. Term of the option would be through 2025. So they would have an opportunity to do that. This is in place to get them down the road on their application for the tax credit project. Bring that up real quick so we can look. They'll have the ability to exercise that option. It basically just covers all the bases with this. There's at purchasing, if they were to close this, then the second piece of this comes into effect, which is a city option agreement there that's in attached A, which if something didn't happen, then the city would be allowed to get that property back effectively, is what that's about. It's a little bit confusing, but really what we're talking about is the option agreement in the first part. For lots 1 through 8, share this so that people can see it. Okay, so lots 1 through 8 are these lots right here.
Is that the 11 acres?
No, it's not a full 11 acres. This ends up being about 6.5. Maybe.
About
Yeah.
half of it?
Yeah, it's
Not quite
roughly half. The situation with this is going to be a little bit interesting. Darren and I have been talking a little bit about how we do this. We think we can do it without having to replat it, but we feel like what we're going to have to do is to vacate that road. Because it's set up as in the plat as a road. So we would have to draw up a vacation for that as we move forward. And that's about, that whole road is about 2.5 acres, 2.6, I think is what it is. So we feel like we can do that. And then if Mennonite Housing ends up being the sole owner of all that tract, they can just do a combination. And then, you know, if they ever had an opportunity or wanted to sell it in the future, they would have to go back and replat that. So good luck with that. And I think you guys have to hold on to it for 20 years minimum on those projects. So 30 years minimum. So that's a 30-year from now problem. If y'all want to sell it 30 years from now, you'll have to replat it at that point. But so there's going to be a little bit of work there too, but this option gives them the opportunity to pursue those tax credits. And if we need to do some further action with the road, we have an opportunity to do that down the road if it gets awarded. So pretty straightforward.
Is it lots on both sides of the road
Nope.
then?
Just these. This is Dollar General right here at 605. It's this whole set in the bottom row. And talking with Byron today, he wasn't sure what exactly it would end up being, what they would actually need. They'll know a little bit more once they get the layout kind of done, if it goes to that point. So this is just sort of the first foyer into this, and then it will most likely have to be adjusted at some point in the future, but this gets us down the road. So, and Angie Mendoza's here from Mennonite Housing representing them. Do you have anything to add to the conversation with regard to the option?
Not really. This is just part of the requirement for the preliminary application that's in January. If we pass that first phase in January, then there's a lot more that goes into the process before the full application goes in June. And so the details would be more solidified after we get past that preliminary hurdle. But we are required to have the ability to possess the land when we put in the application.
And this will satisfy the requirement of our in-kind contribution to the project. I think that was part of the requirement, was it not?
Yes. The donation of the land would satisfy a contribution. There's points that are awarded based on different things, and there's 3 items that we would be looking for to get points in that section. The first would be the donation of the land. The second would be the permit waivers. And then the third one is a donation from a charitable organization, which we're also looking into.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I would accept a motion to approve the real estate option contract as submitted. Councilman McCarty moves. Second,
Second.
Councilman Triggers seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We will now move out of the land bank meeting and back into our city council meeting, where on the agenda, we have a public building commission meeting set as next item with Councilman Loewen, who's the head of the Public Building Commission, absent this evening. I'm going to ask that we table for a motion to table that item until the first meeting in January.
I'll make that motion.
Councilman By moves. Is there a second? Councilman McCarty seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We will table that till the first meeting in January. That brings us to our city administrator's report, Mr. Stiles.
Thank you, sir. Just a couple things. Want to let everybody know we did receive the Kansas Department of Commerce seed grant. That would be the $25,000 for Dale Supermarket to do the floor replacement. So we haven't officially gotten the news release from the state of Kansas, but I felt like we should probably share that. So we're not officially announcing it. They're going to officially announce it, but we're just talking about what happened. So then in the grant review, just because we've had a tremendous amount of outside funding this year, I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. We started tallying it up. It got to be pretty high. Over $2.4 million in grants and forgivable loans this year, roughly this year. We did get awarded the 1.1 a little later in last year, but I'm going to count it for this year too. And there's still $250,000 that we requested from CDBG for that Main Street project, 126. That's waiting for the asbestos test to come back, so that can't be awarded. It'll probably end up dumping into the 24, but that's pretty impressive. $2.4 million that's a lot for a city the size of Hillsboro. So just wanted to throw that out there. I thought it was great. Did great this year. The financial dashboard's there. Everything's kind of clicking along there. We got the budget amendments, so we'll clean up some of those overages that are in there. We've got a couple of issues we got to handle with wage splits. The payroll system was supposed to be doing something it wasn't, so we're going to end up doing a journal entry and then trying to get payroll to fix it for next year. If you have any questions about the specifics on that, I'm happy to answer it. Planning Commission meeting, we had that last week. 2 things on the agenda: the alternative housing for the shipping container. We had nobody there to talk about that. I was surprised. No one showed up to have a conversation about that. The plans that they submitted were complete and total. There are a few changes, which we got the changes back today. So Ben is satisfied with them. Planning Commission decided to move forward and it's going to come to you guys next in January to review the alternative housing, and then they can get going. We're prepared to issue a building permit for them. And so it's if you took a look at the packet, it's a different kind of thing than they were originally. It looks a lot different. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it goes. We are gonna hold them extremely close to the vest, close to their plans. So what is pictured will be what will happen. And then the other thing that the planning commission did, they took the request from the hospital regarding the hospital zoning, and they're gonna move forward with creating, the way we talked about it doing was creating a specific district specifically for hospitals. So it's gonna take a little work. Planning commission will have to work through that. There's gonna have to be some public hearing processes for that. Then it'll come to you guys probably sometime in March or April, so. Got the power bill there, so you can see that. This year's been great for the power bill. That's bottom line there. E-ramp submissions, so there's this plan out there called the E-ramp. It's the state has to put together a plan in order to qualify for some federal funding for emissions reduction. And so they were taking ideas. You had to submit a project idea to the list in order to be considered for this funding. The really easy, you basically just had to show that your project was going to reduce carbon emissions and help the environment. And so it was a huge wide open thing. So we just threw a couple projects in there because there's literally there's no repercussions for putting it in there. But if you're not in there, you don't get funded. And so the other thing with that is it's a $2 million minimum project. So the projects we put in there were pretty expensive, including electrification of some of our fleet vehicles, solar installations on all of our buildings, and then trails and walking paths. So we managed to get them over $2 million, threw them in there. We'll see what happens. I am not optimistic at all. I just thought it was kind of an interesting way to do that. So Golf Association, been talking with them. They've turned over the tournaments and the clubhouse operations to us. They're pretty much just turning into an advisory group. They had a lot of people who decided they didn't want to be leadership in that anymore. So we're going to be taking on some of that. The important thing there is that the city is going to have to pick up the CMB license if we're going to sell beer at the golf course. It's fairly common for a municipality to have that at their golf course. So it's just a change for us. It's not something that we've done in the past. So we'll have to kind of work our way through that, but you'll see that here in early 24. Health insurance savings reports. This is the first month that we had a negative on that. We had 2 babies born though. So that's why. Those are pretty big bills. Our fund balance there is still 95,000. So we're looking pretty good in there, even with a couple babies born. So that's everything I had, sir.
Okay, any questions? All right, hearing none, we will move into our final opportunity for public comments. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the council? Hearing none, I will move to council comments. Councilman By.
I have nothing to add, sir.
Well, you already had something.
Well, I did.
Yeah,
I
you did.
have nothing more to add.
Okay, Councilman McCarty,
No, sir.
Councilman Driggers.
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Is there any other business that needs to come before the council? Hearing none, we will consider this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.